Hi everyone. Okay, this is my third shoot on this one and I'm not going to do it again if it goes wrong, so fingers crossed it's going to go right. I'm going to show you a resist technique using the memento inks and the WOW embossing powders and a WOW stamp as well, one of their clear stamps. Sorry, the motorbike's just gone by. And also how to show you, like if you haven't seen, how you can use the WOW powders to make little embellishments with silicone moulds. So I'm going to crack on. This is the card that we're doing. Absolutely beautiful, really pretty, really quick and simple to do. So all I've done, I've taken just an A6 card. You could do this in any size, and then you just need two pieces, sort of varying sizes, so that when you mount them up, they're all going to mount up in different sizes like that. Okay, so first thing I want to do is take my stamp, and I'm going to use my Versamark ink. So I'm just using a clear ink. I'm going to ink this all over like so. And then because I'm using a piece of cardstock that's smaller than the actual stamp design, I'll show you the stamps properly in a minute because you probably couldn't see it on there. Let's just grab that. That's the stamp, really, really gorgeous, called Vintage Wallpaper, and we have it in the shop. So I'm just going to remove that, pop it over a piece of card. I'm going to do this in a slightly different colour because, as I say, this is like my third attempt, and I wore out one of my ink pads. It was on its way out anyway, but I thought, oh, it's okay, I can get a little bit more out of it. But after using so many goes, it died on me. So I'm going to use a different colour. Not used it, but I'll see what it looks like. So that's the design with the embossing powder on it, which I think you'll agree looks gorgeous just like that. But I'm just going to heat set it. I don't know if you noticed, when I heat set things, I hold the gun in one position until I see the powder melting, and then as soon as I see it melting, then I just start slowly moving around the design like that, so it's just melting all down. I don't do this because if I'm doing that, I'm just dispersing cold air in with it, and it just means it takes longer. There's nothing wrong with that bit, it just means it's going to take you longer. Okay, for the next bit, I wanted to make sure that this is nice and cool because I'm actually going to apply the ink pads to it now. So I'm going to start with the lightest colour. I'm just going to randomly put some colour on there. And basically everywhere where we've put the powder, that's going to resist the ink. So the colour is going to go onto the background card. Get a bit more on there. Nice bright colours. I'm using Rosebud, Pear Tart and Tangelo. Gorgeous colours. Okay. Right, so now I've covered it all. Just pop those over. Get yourself a bit of kitchen roll. And then just start buffing it off. And you can probably see between there and there, hopefully in the camera, the difference already. So that's just taking it off where the embossing powder's gone, so it's actually created a resist effect. It's quite an old technique this, but it's just good to sometimes show again. So I've used all I used was the bright white powder on there. You can use clear, and then any colour that your cardstock is going to come through on that as well. So if I had a pink cardstock and then I used a clear powder on there, the pink would still show through on there. But I love this bright white anyway, so that's what I've used. And you know, you don't have to have a big pot of it, you can get it in the small pots as well. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is just cut this up just into strips. So I'm just going to take that. What you must remember is keep them together how they were, because otherwise you're doing like a jigsaw puzzle afterwards, trying to remember what positions they were in, joining the patterns up. So I'm just going to put that like that. And then I'm just going to pop some little foam pads on the back. So just get those there. just cut some down. I should have done this beforehand, but I wasn't organised. I was going to say, we have quite a lot of American subscribers to these YouTube vids. So I wanted to say to you, you can get WOW Embossing Powder over there now. You can get it from wowembossingpowder.com, and on there there's a list of online stores. But if you go into your local scrapbook store and ask them for it, if they haven't got it, tell them to contact WOW on that same address that I just gave you, and tell them to get it in, because it's absolutely fabulous. And I think I think that size retails for something like $3 a pop, which is just brilliant. So, and we love it over here. It's one of the best powders I've ever used, actually, and I've used embossing powder for many, many years now. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I'm just going to pop those aside, keeping them as they are. Next thing I'm going to do, I just want to add a little bit of colour. This one's going to be a little bit brighter. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just giving it just a bit of a colour background. And you want to go all over, because you're going to leave slight little gaps in it, so you don't want to see all the white through there. This is a lot darker than the original one I've done. That's because I'm using a different colour. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of the pink as well. And you know, I'm not sure if I cut out a sentiment. Let's have a little look. No, I didn't, but I will just stamp one. Here I'm just using just one of my sentiments. I'm just going to use the With Thanks from this set, which is called It's All in the Words. So I'm just going to ink that up. These are just perfect. These little sentiments are just excellent for small little bits like this. So I'm just going to stamp that straight on there. So we've got a nice little With Thanks, and that can just sit there. That can be just sort of drying a little bit before I just show you the next step. To make the embellishment, which is this little guy here, this is actually just all embossing powder. I've not used anything other than the embossing powder. And all I do, if you haven't got a melt pot, all I do is just use a foil case like this and a little peg to hold it, position it into a little spout, and then I just pour the powder in there. Then I'll take my gun and I heat from underneath until it's all melted. When it's melted, I then keep the gun on top, and then I'm putting it on top as I'm pouring it. Okay, so you're still getting it while it's molten, it's just still staying molten for you there. Okay, so in true form, here's one I've done earlier. You can see I've gone over, but I've done that on purpose just to show you that it doesn't matter. It just lifts out after about 20 seconds, 30 seconds on that sort of size. It's quite a small one, this one. So I'm just going to snip it off, and then there we've got that. These little bits, you get no waste whatsoever, because the whole lot just goes back in the pot, and then you can just melt it back down again. So in the shop I've got pots of all different colours, of all these trays, just with all different colour embossing powders in there, that I just keep reusing over and over again. So I've just popped a little Diamante on there. I'm just going to give this a quick blast. And if you notice, when I blasted it, I turned it over and gave it a little blast on the other side. And that was mainly because as you heat something with cardstock, it just starts turning up. But then if you turn it the other way and give it a quick heat, it then turns it back the other way, so therefore it goes flat again. So then what I'm going to do is just lay these on. I haven't taken the backs off yet. I'm just going to lay these in position. I quite like it with the Tangelo as opposed to the other one, the lighter one. So I'm going to get them in the position that I want them. You could sort of put them higher, lower, things like that. And then once I'm happy with where they are, then I can just take them off one by one and start sticking. So I'm just going to quickly do that. There's something like 100 and, I think in like the regular powders, there's something like 111 colours in this WOW powder. There's not as many available to you in the States at the moment, but I'm sure that's going to increase as popular as it gets out there. So there's so many colours to choose from. We're going to be at Ali Pali in a few weeks' time, 22nd, 23rd of September. And again, we'll be demonstrating with the WOW powders. I've got new stamps coming out as well for that. I've got a gorgeous new Christmas set coming out that I'm going to use with the WOW powders, which is going to make the quickest, simplest Christmas cards, but just really beautiful, if I say so myself. And then also WOW will be at Birmingham in November. I can't remember the date, sorry. It's the beginning of November though, and we're going to be doing classes there again, so workshops for you all. So I'm just going to take a little bit of ribbon, tie that round. I'm not going to bother tying a bow, I'll just do a knot. Or should I do a bow? No, I'll do a bow. Let's just quickly do a bow. And just, oh. Or maybe not quickly do a bow, just do a bow. Okay, let's just pull that a little bit, neaten it up. That's it. And just give that a snip. Yeah, so if you're coming along to Birmingham, you do have to get there quick and early to sign up for the workshops because they go very, very fast. And we've got an amazing tag this year that we're doing, which is just beautiful. I'm just going to pop some double-sided on the back here, if I can find the end of it. Normally, in fairness, I'd go all the way around, but just for speed on here, I'm just going to do a couple of strips of it. And then just stick that down straight onto the card. That's good. Okay, and then I'm just going to take a bit more of this. This is where you want to make sure your ink's really dry, because then your tape's going to stick nicely to it. You can cheat because you can just lay that under there, so then it looks like you've stuck it on with the ribbon, you've tied it with the ribbon. Then I'm just putting a little bit of double-sided on the back of this belly, and then I'm just going to literally just stick that on there, and there you go. It's a lovely little card, nice and simple to do and effective. Thanks for watching. Bye.